Good day, good people. I am Phaedra Dion, and thank you for joining me for another video here on the SGV Tuts YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the image trace feature in Adobe Illustrator, which makes sense in relation to my last video about how to convert JPGs and or PNGs in Adobe Express. If you watch that video on Adobe Express, you will recall we lost some of our file information in the conversion process. So this turned to this, where we partially lost our antennae, and we can see little white spots in the SVG. And then this turned to this, where we lost all of our color and a part of the top of one of the antennae got cut off, even though you can see it right here. Part of that was because of our file sizes, 42 kilobytes and 102 kilobytes. These are not big files. And so we lost information in the conversion process because we were working with smaller files. The other reason we lost information is because we didn't really get to make any choices. We uploaded it, it did its conversion, and then it told us to download it, and that was it. But I don't know if you noticed, it says that it's powered by Adobe Illustrator, which is why I wanted to do this video right after the Adobe Express video, because the image trace tool in Adobe Illustrator will make it possible for us to convert those same files and keep the information that we lost when we did it with Adobe Express. Now, Adobe Illustrator is not free, and that's one of the reasons everybody doesn't use it. You have to pay for it. But it does do the job that Adobe Express doesn't do. Now, Adobe Express may do the job if you pay for it. I'm not sure. But I know Illustrator will do it. So that's why I wanted to follow up the Adobe Express video with this Adobe Illustrator video. So what we're going to do is we're going to open those same two files in Adobe Illustrator. So I'm just dragging them over and having Adobe Illustrator open them up. And we'll just work with this one first because we did that in the previous video. Now, I brought this in as a JPEG. So if I punch it up, you will see the boxes, just like you did when we did the Adobe Express video. So I just use the Control key, Command on the Mac, and the plus plus plus. I'm going to do Control or Command and 0 to bring it back down. Now what I want to do is I want to use image trace to convert this JPEG to a vector. And I have two options. I can make or I can make and expand. I want to make, because if I make and expand, it is the equivalent of what happened over in Adobe Express. If I make and expand, then I have no option to actually fix anything. So that's make and expand. Adobe Illustrator did the work and decided this is what I wanted. Absolutely not what I wanted. So I'm going to go up to Edit and Undo, or Control Command Z like zebra on the keyboard, and I'm going to use Object and Image Trace and just make. And I'm going to get the same thing, but this time I'm going to go up to the control panel here at the top, and I'm going to click on the Image Trace panel. And it's going to give me some options so that I can manipulate this so I can get information back that I lost. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Preset. And I'm going to choose high fidelity photo. Even though this is not a photo, it's an illustration. I'm going to choose high fidelity photo because it's going to allow me to have about 16 million colors to choose from. So that is going to get me back the color that got wiped out. Now notice this is basically what we got in Adobe Express, where we got the color information and everything, but our antennae still kind of dropped out. And this is actually better because we didn't get all of those little white artifacts in the conversion like we did over here when we did it with Adobe Express. But we can make this better. So what I normally do, I'm going to go down here and click on Advanced next, because vectors, they're all based on math. So they're all based on lines and then points, or paths and anchors, which is those are the terms that they use in Illustrator, but think of them as lines and points. So lines go to points and more lines go to points. It's kind of like a connect dot, and the math, the line gets longer and longer to its points, and that's why the vector, the illustration, the SVG doesn't distort or blur, because you can just make a line as long as you want to make a line. With pixels and points, they're little boxes, and each little box has some information, and that information, there's only so much of it in a box, just like a regular box. Like if you got a box from Amazon, there's only so much they can put in there, right? So that is why the vector, the SVG, the EPS is preferable to the JPEG or PNG. So I'm here in advanced and I can make more paths. Now there's no one size fits all with this. You can't just go in and do the image trace the same for every image. You have to play with it. So the first thing I always play with is noise. I always go all the way up with noise and let Illustrator do its thing. So that didn't work. So I'm going to come all the way back down with noise and see what happens. Looky there. Look at what I got. I got my antennae back. Okay. So then I can start messing around with corners. Now, at this point, if this looks good to you, if you're happy with what you have here, go ahead and expand it and be done with it. But I always play around with corners and stuff just to see if I can get it as close to possible as what I had in the JPEG or the PNG. So I pumped up corners to 100% and it still looks good. What about paths? So I'm making more paths and points. And the more paths and points that you make, the more detail you can get. I am not liking it. I don't know if you can tell, but it got kind of jagged. It was at 50%, so I'm going to put it back at 50%. Let Illustrator do the rendering. And I'm kind of happy with this. What I'm going to do now is, before I actually commit to it, is I'm going to punch it up again, Control Command plus, and see what I'm working with here. So I don't have boxes anymore. I have lines. If I hit Command or Control 0 and go back out, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I want to commit to it. I haven't committed to it yet. So I'm going to go up here to expand. And now I'm committed. Okay. So I can close the image trace box. And what I want to do is I want to get rid of this white background. So once it expanded, it made it a big old group of stuff. So I need to go up to Object and Ungroup. I'm going to click away. And then I'm going to click in this white area here, and I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. So now what I have, if I click here, nothing happens. See, I'm clicking in the white area because I got rid of the bounding box. But if I click on anything here, then you can see I'm selecting it. Now at this point I can change colors. I can, take this green and change it to something else. I'll have to go and get swatches back, but I can change that green to say yellow, and I can manipulate this file. I'll do a Control Z, Command Z to go back, but now I can make changes to different pieces. I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to group it back together. Now, if I go to save this, notice that I have no background. But I'm not going to save it here because I'm going to either turn it into a PNG, a JPEG, or a GIF. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel this, and then I'm going to go up to File and Save. And it's going to save it as an Adobe Illustrator file by default, and I do want it to do that. So I'm going to click Save. I'm going to get a dialog box that is going to tell me how to make it backwards compatible to older versions of Illustrator, and I'm going to click OK. And then I want to save it as an SVG because I can't use an AI file in like Cricut Design Space. So now I'm going to go and change it to an SVG. So I will do File, Save As, and I'll change the file Save As type to SVG. And then I'll click Save. And I'll take the default here because we're just doing this quickly. And now I have the SVG saved. So if I go to my folder and open the SVG, this is what I have. Now let's look at that compared to what we got with Adobe Express. So this is the Adobe Express one, and this is the Adobe Illustrator one. And I'm going to punch it up with the Control or Command +++. And as you can see, I got way more information by doing this through Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so now there's the second one. And I'll actually let you do this one on your own so you can play around with the image trace. Make sure you select it, because if you don't, then image trace won't be available to you. And don't forget to go and get your image trace panel and play around with it until it looks the way you want it to look. Forgot to go and get my high fidelity photo, and I got my colors, and I'll do my noise and so forth and so on. That is why Illustrator is not free, because you can do more with it than you can do with a free tool. Actually, what I should say is that's why Adobe Express is free, because it doesn't give you choices. It just does the best guess and gives you what it thinks is the best conversion. Illustrator is not the only tool that can do this. The open source Inkscape can do this as well. It may not do it as efficiently, but it can be done. And of course, there are other tools that will help you do stuff like this and get your JPEGs or PNGs into vectors. So I just wanted to show you a comparison between Adobe Illustrator, the full version that you pay for, and Adobe Express. And as I mentioned before, it's a possibility that if you pay for Adobe Express, you'll get the opportunity or the option to do more with conversion to SVG than you do with the free version. I'm not sure, because I actually, have access to Adobe Illustrator, and that's where I go to do my conversions. I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, leave me a comment. If you have concerns, leave me a comment. If you have comments, leave me a comment. And thank you so much for watching.